Okay. Good evening, everybody. To those of you joining us from India, and good morning to those of you joining from the the West Coast in the US and in the US itself. So, this is Ravi Gundlapalli, founder and CEO of Mentor Cloud, IIT Madras Alumni, and I have on stage with me Ben Matthias, who is the managing director of Vertex Ventures. And our third speaker today on the live stream is on his way here on the e-plane. It has just left the department, and he'll be landing very soon. He's the CEO of a company called e-plane, and he will join us. So thank you all for joining. And the thought of doing this live was really like, all three of us were classmates at IIT Madras just a few years ago. I won't tell you how many years. We were all getting together, either to go to a music class or you know uh, talk about a quiz or something like that. But now here we are talking at a conference organized by Alma Mater. So Ben, maybe until others join, you can say a bit about Vertex Ventures and how you got here.
Great, thanks, Ravi. And to introduce myself, I work with Vertex Ventures. I'm a managing partner. We are a global venture capital firm headquartered out of Singapore, and I'm based in Bangalore and focus on early stage startups in India. And I come across many startups that have either been incubated at IIT Madras or have been started by IIT Madras founders. So the reason I'm speaking at this conference is specifically to address some of these potential founders who are alums of IIT Madras and talk to them about venture capital funding and what they need to think about if they plan to raise funding.
Amazing. So, Ben, did you know that you will be in venture capital when you graduated from IIT Madras?
No, I had no idea. Actually, like you, I got a major in naval architecture because that was what my rank gave me. And of course, I never worked a day as a naval architect either. The first half of my career was in the software industry, and Ravi, you and I worked together for a few years. But quite by accident, I got recruited into a venture capital firm, which was looking for somebody to come to India and start their investment practice in India. So that's how I became a VC, and I've been doing this for 17 years now.
Amazing, amazing. So I think for those younger alumni and students listening to this, you don't have to know where you will be 20, 30 years from now. You just have to know that wherever you are right now, it is the best place to be, and you do the best you can, right? Because when every step you take is highly optimized, that you have thought through and you made the right decision, then a series of optimized steps will get you to the destination, right? That's what a GPS does, right? At every step it actually sort of resets your path. So while we wait for Satya to join, I'm sure he's getting his e-plane all propelled up a little bit. So Ben, what excites me about this particular conference is the fact that it is organized by our alma mater. This is the fifth conference, I'm told, and this time they have chosen to organize it outside the campus in Hyderabad, which has become a lot of IT capital and tech capital. It is in the high tech city of Hyderabad. So, and the conference is called Sangam, which means confluence. And while it's a confluence of entrepreneurs, investors, working professionals, academicians, I felt it's also a confluence for you, me, and Satya as well. After many, many years, of course, we have been in touch throughout. What excites me is the theme, right? The theme that IIT Madras Alumni Association very, visionarily selected is this thing called Sankalp Viksit Bharat. Viksit Bharat means developed India. And so to all our audience, Viksit Bharat is a huge mission, for the entire country. I have traveled to all continents around the world, and I have not seen a leadership that has set the country on such a big mission that when India celebrates her 100th independence year, then India should be a developed country in terms of per capita and in terms of human conditions, education, healthcare, and so on. So that's what excites me, because all the conditions seem to be right. India has the largest demographic dividend of over 600 million young people. India has access to technology like the latest AI tools and all the deep technology tools that we'll hear from Satya, who has just joined us. And you see this beautiful, lander behind him. Hey, Satya, welcome to the stage. Ben and I just got started just to get our audience warmed up. So, Satya, we were just talking about the theme of Sangam, which is the Sankalp Viksit Bharat. Sankalp is the pledge. And so, why don't you quickly introduce yourself, Satya, and share with us, our audience, what excites you about this Saturday's conference?
Yeah, so thanks, Ravi. Thanks, Ben. How are you? It's been a while.
Great to see you, Satya.
Yeah, so I'm Satya Chakravarti, professor at IIT Madras, professor of aerospace engineering uh, since a couple of decades, more than that maybe, and now in the recent past been a founder slash co-founder for multiple large aerospace based startups. Uh, Very focusedly founder of ePlane, working more or less full time there, but advisor, co-founder to other things like Agnikul or Galaxy and Extra Fuels and Tutor Hyperloop and Heroes to Willows. Yeah, that's a quick introduction. About Sangam, yeah, I think it's a flagship event for IIT Madras Alumni Association. I've been to the previous editions sometimes that have happened in Chennai and so on before. It's a huge gathering. It's a stellar gathering of all the key alumni. Plus, we also actually get to meet and listen to a lot of great people. Very great place to network. A lot of things actually get done, more than the hype surrounding it. Uh, at this particular time, I think the Sankalp for Viksit Bharat is very topical because I think about 2047 is suddenly got into the minds thanks to the Prime Minister, and all of us are actually now working like a laser beam focused towards it. I think that's actually a good thing. Like an entire nation focused towards something for the next 25 years is an amazing thing to think about. And I have my own share of dreams about what India will be by 2047. And I have my little the squirrel in the Ramayana kind of thinking on how I may actually be able to contribute to that. Yeah.
It's interesting. So I love the theme that the organizing committee have chosen, because I'm really excited about what India can be, and it has the potential right now. And Sankalp, the English word is basically pledge. So if each of us make a pledge that whatever project we like Ben, that you are funding, or whoever entrepreneurs or professionals that I am mentoring, or whichever organization I'm working with, or whatever latest aerospace or space tech that Satya is building, we're all doing it with that goal, right? It's almost like all of us are on a plane that lands at the same destination, right? We may be sitting in different seats doing different things, but the plane is going to the same destination. So you know I was thinking, coming into this, and I will come to this example of what you just mentioned about the squirrel and Ramayana. uh, you know Satya, you are doing the e-plane, right? And if all the propellers are working fine and operational and effective, then your air taxi will take off. And to speak in Ben's language, if all your startups in your portfolio are doing well, they are making revenue, they're growing, they're doubling, tripling, then your fund as well. And if all the people that we are mentoring in organizations, in universities, all of them are learning, they're not stressed, and they're happy and they're growing, then the organization grows, and the country grows, right? That's what basically this confluence is all about. It is the collective. how they say, when the tide rises, it rises all the ships, right? So if all of us can take that pledge, that whatever we do, we'll think about how do we get to India there. It could be healthcare, it could be technology, it could be education, it could be even cleanliness, infrastructure, sustainability, so many things. So I would like at least the three of us carry that I've taken the pledge of Viksit Bharat, right? I've taken the Sankalp, and the Sanskrit word for Sankalp actually means alignment with time, because Kalpa is time, San means unison. So that time has come for India, like Satya was telling. So uh, going back to the squirrel, I learned from a guru is that actually squirrel actually gave its entire life. He didn't do a part of it, right? So even though people say my contribution will be like the squirrel, squirrel actually gave its full. It didn't do a portion. It said, let me go have breakfast and put some sand on the bridge." It did its entirety. So a squirrel, being a squirrel, actually very, very, very good. Everything you are doing is for Viksit Bharat. So Satya, what can attendees expect to hear from you at Sangam? And if you can add on, why should those listening to us attend Sangam?
Oh, I mean, I shouldn't. I don't know if it's appropriate for me to brag about what I might bring to the table, but
You should. I mean, you are as one of the top professors in the media everywhere. You're the high flyer when I knew in 11th and 12th grade in IIT, and now you are the flyer. So you're just an amazing guy. You should brag.
but I don't know. I mean, that's what I'm saying, right? So the Sangam guys, in their wisdom, actually called me to be part of a panel, and that panel seems to be a fairly star-studded panel. So I can kind of twinkle amidst those stars, I would think. So it's all about the startups and funding and so on. One of my co-panelists is actually another much younger IIT alum who is running another rocket startup. Um, I think that's Bharat Dhaka of Skyroot. So in that sense, we'll actually have like two competitors on stage, both of them trying to fly rockets. Then we have, I think, the person who actually was actually doing T Hub with about 100 plus startups that have been belted out tucked under his belt, and then there is a VC who actually funds startups and startup mentors. So this I'm really looking forward to that because I would get to share a little bit about what I do. So the thing that I come to the table with is not just uh, the one startup that I'm doing, but also a very very close ringside view of quite a few similar such startups that happen. So it's not just like an anecdotal experience that I come with, but I can synthesize a lot of things that are happening together and form a view about it that's a little bit more statistical that way. And I think that carries some weight these days. Quite a few people ask me for these kinds of things, and I'm hoping that I'll be able to share my insights along with the rest of them and see how we can synthesize a action plan for, let's say, IITM Alumni Association, IIT Madras itself. IIT Madras is actually now doing amazing, right? So first of all, we have to be first of all proud about IIT Madras.
Yeah,
Where
here I actually brought the IIT Madras hat just to
Wow,
show it
right.
on
So,
this live
I mean,
telecast.
as IIT Madras alums, we actually have a huge responsibility to carry on our shoulders to do something very, very serious, carrying the IIT Madras brand name now. And success builds on success. IIT Madras is successful because of its alums, and alums now have to actually succeed even more to keep the success alive. So I'm hoping that we will actually have some takeaways from that panel from all those star-studded people that converts into action plans for the alumni association to carry forward with us chipping in, right? So when I said squirrel, that's what it is, right? I'm just a squirrel. I'll do my 100% all the time, but I'm still that squirrel, right? So
I'm
there's
still
like
the squirrel. Yeah.
that needs to be
Thank you,
done.
Satya.
Yeah,
Uh,
I think that's what will happen.
Yeah, and you said it's not anecdotal because you are a startup founder and I'm a startup founder, so we have all the scars and the mistakes that we have gone through and all the silly things we did. But your experience will be very valuable. Now, Ben, you're on the other side, right? I mean, you are actually talking to people like us and seeing if we are fund worthy, right? So what are you thinking about, sharing at Sangam? And yeah, like to see your view, because you are on the other side, empowering startups across India and around the world.
Yeah, to be honest, the success of a VC is really based on finding smart founders like yourselves, like you, Ravi, and Satya. And that's what we look for. We look for highly competent founders who've got disruptive ideas, who can change the world. And what I'm hoping to talk about is really the sort of different themes, the trends that we're seeing across the country, and
Hmm.
where people are starting companies, and give some examples of companies started by IIT Madras alumni that are doing very well. And at the end of it, I would like to give some of my experience in terms of what really VCs would be looking for, not just me, but in general, any venture capitalist. If you're a founder looking to raise money, here are sort of the things you need to think about, uh, and here's what the investor would be looking for. So that's going to be the theme of my talk.
Yeah, it's interesting. When I started my company, I used to think funding is all I needed, right? Most people come say, I'm looking for funding, but I think what they're actually looking for, what they should be focused on, is fundability. Are you fundable? Right? Do you have all the check boxes in terms of, do you have your messaging right? Do you have your product right? Do you have your problem understanding right? So I think if you can highlight that, guys, it's not money alone. Of course, mentorship, I have to speak as the author of the book, The Art of Mentoring and Mentor Cloud. Mentorship is also important, because like someone like you can give $1 million after listening to a great story, but you can totally blow that million on some silly marketing campaign, and it may not yield the results you are expecting from the startup. So mentorship to leverage that capital effectively on the most important aspects to that will propel your growth is important, right? So I think your points on, are you fundable, it's not that something is wrong with your product, right? You look at multiple factors to fund an offer, to fund a startup, right, Ben?
That's correct. And actually, Ravi, you just gave me reminded me that I need to update my slides with some of these points. Uh,
Yeah, see, tomorrow is the quiz, and we're just preparing for the exam. That's what it
yeah,
feels like. Yeah. Uh, yes. Please update, because startups should not think that funding, again, it is again, I will be public on this. It is a disease that has been spread by Silicon Valley, because so and so raised $1 billion, so and so raised $100 million. So every entrepreneur thinks that's what they're supposed to do, right? If India has to learn, they should not do this. Don't glorify fundraising.
It's
Glorify.
almost like I got actually the 815th rank in JEE, and as if like my life is set.
My life is set. Yeah, yeah. I mean, and all of us know, right? The rank means nothing, right? So you make up a good point, especially we're talking about IIT Madras now. So if we cannot learn, and there's so many things to learn. I mean, I'm in Silicon Valley right now. I'm getting on a plane in a couple of hours. I'm looking forward to Sangam conference, meeting you all in person. But
Wow.
we have to really teach our Indian entrepreneurs that aspect, right? Focus on the outcomes for the country, focus on the outcomes for your company, not focus on fundraising. Fundraising is an input, that's not the output. But for the media, Ben, if you have the opportunity to tell the media, don't glorify that, because that
yeah,
sets the entrepreneur on the wrong mindset. Do you agree?
yeah. Unfortunately, the media doesn't necessarily have access to company performance information. And what they do have access is when a startup raises money, they do a press release. So that's what gets all the news. But if a startup grows 100% year on year and gets EBITDA profitable, while it's still a private company, it doesn't get publicly.
Correct.
That information is not available publicly unless the startup chooses to announce it. So the funding milestone gets talked about a lot more, and
Mm.
it's important that founders don't view that as the end goal, but it's just a step on the path to what you want to achieve.
Absolutely, very good point, Satya.
No, I think one thing that I always emphasize to anybody who is wanting to start up and so on, start with what you exactly said, which is fundraise is actually not the major goal, but there is a very nice program that one of the incubation ecosystem hubs that we have at IIT Madras called Gopalakrishnan Deshpande Center runs called the Incubate program, and it's patterned after the US NSF's iCore program
Hmm.
on the lean startup model, which is all about customer discovery. And customer discovery starts from day zero. The moment you actually got like an ideation, even from the ideation stage, you need to actually look at who am I solving this problem for, what's the pain point, and what's the kind of customer clientele, what do I actually get customer validation about my idea, and how do I pivot if I'm not actually getting enough validation. All of these things should actually be done even before you meet the first investor, in my view. And that's something that unfortunately does not get heard in most places. And maybe Ben, you can probably add one more slide.
Yes, you guys given me a lot of homework to do in the next 2 days.
Yeah, in fact, I'm going to be working on my slides on the plane. I have a 22-hour plane ride from here to there, so I'll be working on my slides because that's the time when there is no other interruptions from WhatsApp messages or my team calling. So I think this is a very important aspect, right? And also we should encourage entrepreneurs to also share other success milestones. Maybe you're teach media, not just glorify fundraising, but all other aspects, and also the problem they're solving is also very important, right? That should be a public information.
See, particularly for people coming out of IIT Madras, much more particularly than just any IIT as such, is I would actually say don't get married to the tech that you're coming to the table with. That's actually your tool to solve a problem.
It's a tool.
So yeah, so focus on the problem solving rather than the tech that you have, that you're equipping yourself with, because I find that IIT Madras definitely scores well above anybody else, perhaps in the global stage on deep tech startups, where we do pack quite a bit of technology into the solution. But it's probably good for like a scholarliness quotient. But question is that really required for you to go out and run a business and start up a business and so on? So those are all some very fundamental questions that kind of uh, attack your identity, right? So that's something that you have to wade through. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's a good point. In fact, the panel I'm speaking, doing a keynote is a societal impact. Ultimately, whether it is technology or whether it is an institution you're creating, you have to think about what impact it has on the people around you, on the community, whether it is resolving the flood situation in Chennai, or whether it is extending education to the people in remote areas, giving them access to the internet, for example, or faster transportation like what Satya you're doing. All of it helps society, right? At the end, so like you correctly said, Satya, tech is an enabler. Tech does
I
not
think
eat meals, it does
you
not sleep.
hit the nail on the head. I think the operative word actually is impact, honestly. Yeah.
Impact, yeah. In fact, that's a panel I'm speaking, and I wrote about it. I actually broke the word impact into I made a pact to make impact. Right,
Wow.
I am a pact. So pact is an agreement, right? So I made an agreement with myself. Whatever I do, I will impact somebody. It could be a human being, it could be a plant, it could be a community, it could be a family member, doesn't matter. Constantly think about it, because our life is a bubble, right? Any day it can go. So as much as possible, if you can just have that mindset, just like the mindset we talk about, our mindset is India should be a developed country. Nobody should complain about lack of health care, lack of education. Somebody asked a question, what does Viksit Bharat mean? You know, every Indian, every Indian young person has access to good education. Every family has access to good health care, and there is nothing stopping that person to achieving their full God-given potential. Is really what a Viksit Bharat is. It is exactly that. Nobody should be limited in their potential because of where they are, right? Because of the zip code or because of the village they are in. Today, that is possible. Success beyond boundaries is possible, right?
Absolutely.
Yes, Satya.
Oh, I mean, completely agree with what you're saying. And I'm also actually pretty amazed at the way you coin these things.
Yeah, it's definitely, owe a lot to all the wonderful people that I'm surrounded by at IIT Madras alumni, right? So I was talking to an IIT Madras person the other day. He said, Ravi, up until you enter IIT, you think like you are God and you're like number one in your college. IIT really, really puts you on the ground because they're super smart people once you enter the campus.
Yeah.
And but interesting thing, once you leave IIT, you again find that, oh my goodness, we are actually smarter. So there's nothing wrong about bragging, right? We are actually smarter once you go into the open world, because the percentage of, somebody was telling recently, Ravi, when you go to a company, how many people are from IIT background, right? Very small. So we have to now leverage all the humility we got on IIT campus, and but then not forget that we have come with a good background that we can now leverage to solve important problems. So Viksit Bharat means prosperous country, high per capita GDP, not just GDP but GDP per capita. That's one thing I'm going to be speaking in my talk, is we have to touch as many humans as possible. It is not enough that if Mumbai, Delhi, Chennai, Pune, and Bangalore, few cities are doing very well, but people are struggling in tier 2, tier 3 cities. So wherever we go, they should have access to all the resources. And so I see, I'm the other analogy is, when you plant a seed, for it to germinate into a healthy plant, all the conditions have to be right: the soil, the nutrients, the sunshine, the water, right? I see India's conditions to germinate into a developed nation, into Viksit Bharat, are right now. The demographic dividend, the culture, the technology, the university education. Do you agree? I mean, that's why it's called Amrit Kal. I don't know if you have heard the term Amrit Kal period of India. Ben?
I agree with you. All the stars are aligned right now, and thinking of this 2047 goal, we'll be, all three of us be almost 80 years old by then. But if the country can achieve that goal, it will be a good way to look back on our lives at our careers and how we've been a part of this journey.
Yeah, I would actually replace the word if with when. Right? I tell all the startups, don't use the word if, and so when we reach there, and all of us will be there, and let's exercise, let's eat responsibly, so we are there at 80. And it will be how wonderful if our grandchildren walk up to us and say, hey, thank you for whatever you did, Satya. Because of you, I don't have to get stuck in Bangalore traffic. I just fly and go to my house or my school, and because of you,
No,
I
no,
have.
no, 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 no. I'll go one step further. So, Bangalore traffic will actually get alleviated, and you will not really have traffic anymore because of this, right? So,
Oh, okay,
of
even better,
course.
even.
How long will we actually keep on talking about Bangalore traffic?
I know. Okay. Everybody talks about it. So, okay, fine. No, so there won't be traffic.
That's a Viksit Bharat that we're talking about.
That's a
We
Viksit
just
Bharat. No
we just
traffic.
we just make commute three-dimensional. That's it.
Okay, making commute three-dimensional. I love it. I love it. Right? We don't have to think of only two dimensions, and wonderful. So, yeah, and also making success boundaryless is what I would like to think. A young person.
One thought that I will probably bring to the table, in addition to the few things that I said about startups as such, is like we talked about the hype about the fundraise that we go through, and maybe actually look at these exits and then eulogize these guys. But you have to be very careful that startups probably contribute a bit to jobless growth. We have to be worried about that. So, which are those startups that are actually going to impact the GDP of the country? That's
Hmm.
something that could actually become like a metric for impact. If you want to care about GDP or GDP per capita, whatever you want to call it, is it just like that particular founder that exited who became like a billionaire, or how many other people's lives did it impact in ways of getting the service or the product reach out, as well as the employees that were there, indirect employment that they got? Those are things that we actually should be starting to metricize about startups, and not just so that there is a significant societal impact portion that gets left out of the startup stories. That's what I'm concerned about.
That's a very good point, actually, Satya, because I think IIT Madras actually did an impact assessment of its alumni. I remember there was a study like that by MIT. We should do that. One of the action plans is, what impact have we created on the society, and then how do we now look at the next 23 years. I think the impact is operating word. That's the panel I am on, and ultimately that's what
Because
remains.
if you think about the projection of like India's GDP by 2047, it's actually very staggering. It's huge number, right, by today's standards. But that's actually the multiplier effect that you have of the exponent, right? You're actually going to grow at an exponential rate, right? And how much are we going to be able to contribute to that wealth, right, of the nation is something. It just completely boggles my mind. And if we start thinking like that, we will be like, oh my god, we better work harder than what we are doing right now. And so, yeah.
Yeah, again, that's another good point you make. It's about working hard. Is all the young people listening to this and attending the conference? Sangam, if you're a young professional, if you're a young entrepreneur, or still in IIT or in any college for that matter, you should come to Sangam to be inspired by what's possible, because all of us, we wake up in the morning because there is some possibility we see in the day, that I can have a nice meal, or I can go to a nice movie, or I can meet my uncle, or my family, right? It is the possibility that actually drives us, and which was the theme last year at the TED conference. We talked about possibilities. So I hope at Sangam there will be a lot of discussion about what's possible. The country's leadership has already set a goal. So now, if we can define what's possible, and if we can start sort of mind feeling that end state, then you will see there's a lot of work to be done. There's a lot of
Yep.
work to be done, but it can be done. We have people, we have the tech, we have the will, we have all the conditions. Like Ben was saying, all the stars are aligned. So really looking forward to the conversations there, and let us all pledge that whatever we do, we will remember that the end goal is that. And I was recently in a small town in North India. I was walking on the street, and it was very dirty. And I called a couple of girls who were in 10th grade, and I just talked to them. Doesn't this bother you that it's not very clean? They said yes, yes, yes. Then I said, why don't you become a leader this weekend? Why don't you just bring all your neighbors and clean it, because this is your neighborhood. Is your house like that? So I think it's just awareness, that awareness of what's possible. If only we put our mind to what India could be, because all the obstacles have been removed. The whole the colonial sort of legacy is history now. All the occupations are history now, and if we can keep those forces outside India, I think we have a huge opportunity.
Yep. I mean, but
Great.
that's what India
We're
is all
seeing
about.
both of you.
Yes, Ben.
I said, look forward to seeing both of you and chatting more about it.
Absolutely. So we leave that we leave this conversation, that we are preparing for a quiz. It's on Saturday, and there'll be lots of our friends there. So thank you both for joining. I'm immensely proud of both of you, because all of us knew when we left IIT Madras. You were in Alakananda, Satya, doing aerospace. We were in naval architecture in Narmada. Little did we know that this is what we'll be doing. Many years later. I won't tell the on live how old we are, but we'll always be young in our mind, young in our spirit. And I'm excited with for both of you, that how your journeys have evolved. So do take time to mingle with the attendees and share your stories, because both of you have immensely inspiring stories. And all the
Thank
young
Thank
you.
you.
people. Yeah.
You too. Yeah.
See you guys. See you both on Saturday.
Absolutely. Thank you so much,
Bye.
Ben. And thank you for joining during your evening time. And a good night and safe travels. And we'll see
Have a
you
good
all
flight,
at
Ravi.
2024. And those of you who are joining us, there is a link in the chat, where you can register. And it's going to be an amazing confluence, because Sangam means confluence. It's going to be confluence of, there are at least 1,000 people like us who are going to be there, and all the young people take full advantage of this confluence. Meet people, don't be shy, go shake hands, and introduce yourself. And I hope this becomes a turning point in your journey towards contributing to India's big goal of Viksit Bharat 2047. Thank you all. Namaste, and we'll see you soon.
See you. Thank you so much. Bye bye.
Bye.